Daisy Ridley has been out there really trying to stake claim to her new Rey movie, and it's definitely going to be coming. I know that there's a bunch of different stories that have been out there that, oh, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, she's been replaced, and oh, Sean Levy is just, he's the stalking horse. He's just waiting to replace the very caustic director, and oh no, this Rey film, oh, it doesn't even have a script. The screenwriter's off working on different projects, and oh, it's just going to be another one of these projects that ends up getting memory hold. Guys, this Rey movie is very much going to happen. Don't know when, don't know if. Principal photography is supposed to start sometime this year. I hope it happens in all its feminist glory. The content gods do demand it. But in anticipation of something happening very shortly, Daisy Ridley has been out on the interview stroll, talking an awful lot about the Star Wars fan base, and well, to my ears, singing a different tune, but to a lot of people out there just going, oh my god, Daisy Ridley, oh, she's always been like this, oh, you know, for all of these Hollywood actors and actresses, guys, she has always been upright and honest, she's always been somebody to go ahead and take the high road. No, I remember some things, okay? It might not be the biggest Star Wars fan, okay? Might not be the biggest media consumer, but when I see a clip, when I see something out there, ya boy remembers. But I also have to be fair, and I have to give her her due, because just like Rachel Zegler, if you're singing a different tune, if you're going to go ahead and be complimentary to the fan base, the damage might already be done. But if you do something good, you know, good behavior should in fact be rewarded. Daisy Ridley recalls director J.J. Abrams. Speaking of hacks, I haven't heard from him in a while. Advice after Star Wars casting. This is a religion for people. Yeah, this is one of those things, man. Like, okay, back when it was just a humble 6 films, as many people would just like to remember it as. Like, in any given time, outside of your mainstream religions, followers of the Jedi Order would always end up ranking very, very high on those polls of self-reporting when it comes to religion. Like, it's not untrue to say this, okay? Like, Star Wars has always been venerated. It's just taken a substantial PR hit in a recent decade or so. I wonder what happened during that time. Daisy Ridley recalled director J.J. Abrams' words of wisdom following her casting in 2015's The Force Awakens. Yeah, casting, because she just used to be a struggling artist in London, never being cast in anything beforehand. She's not an actress, by the way, which would also speak heavily as to her lack of emoting, and the only thing that she actually did in any of those stories outside of just being an absolute, well, we'll listen to her in a clip here talk about her, you know, specific character traits in the Star Wars chronology. Was provide a bunch of wide-eyed looks with a very conspicuously partially open mouth. She became famous for the look, okay, like the, oh, that's the Rey look, okay, outside of holding up something going, I pop past the compressor. And you can tell by her post-Star Wars career, yeah, the opportunities aren't lining up as fast and furiously, but hey man, if Disney's still going to be stupid and throw around a bunch of money and you can go ahead and get easy work from Disney, you don't really have to worry about anything else because, okay, I'm not too sure of her paycheck, and I'm sure it's very easily to find out about Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, but her $12.5 million for the Rey movie that's going to be coming out, it doesn't matter if she takes another trip in front of the camera, she's going to be fine. Even if she decides to live in London for the rest of her days, she's going to be financially set. Which is nice, because I don't wish her any ill will. I just hope Lucasfilm in its current incarnation burns to the ground so that something better can arise from the ashes. Leading the Star Wars films through its first years following Disney's acquisition and desecration of the Lucas universe. This not a role in the movie. This is not just a role in the movie, I would imagine. That's what you wanted to say. Ridley recalled Abrams telling her in a new interview with Inverse, this is a religion for people. It changes things on a level that is inconceivable. Very much so. Abrams, Ridley said, was right. Star Wars changed her life, launching her status as a celebrity and pushing her to the forefront of an extremely passionate fan base. For friends and family, or any people who see something in a slightly different way than you do, there's a projection of you and you in the world that and how it feels to do this and that, she said, and you're like, well, actually, I'm just a human being, separate from all of that. It's quite a wrestle of the reality and the fantasy that's often projected of you. Ridley said the stress came at her quickly. when all the craziness was going on, I was like, I'm good, I'm coping fine, everything's fine, and I was fine for the most part. But I think I was really grappling with was that was my normal, but it was not normal to other people. Her stress soon manifested physically, but by the time The Last Jedi reached theaters, Ridley had developed holes in her gut wall. Oh, she got ulcers? That sucks. My body was just fucked up, she told GQ in 2019. I got tests done, and it turned out my body was taking in no nutrients. It was just a little skeleton. I got so tired. Well, you couldn't tell that it affected her head in any way. Definitely ended up looking like she was auditioning for the role of the live-action Bic spokesperson. It was becoming a ghost. Ridley took a 6-month break after the before beginning filming Rise of Skywalker. Well, so did the writers, which helped her recover. Then the real end happened. After the last Star Wars came out and everything was quiet, I was like, the fuck? Ridley said, I was grieving. But yeah, that also came out the tail end of 2019, and then what happened in 2020? Yeah, unfortunately. The experience ultimately took years to process, but was aided by the pandemic and started 2 years after Skywalker. Yes, Rise of Skywalker. Having to sit in lockdown was incredibly helpful, and the way I hadn't anticipated, I realized that was a lot I hadn't processed properly. And then she went on to star in such films as, well, I can't name any of them, but I know that she did. I think one was, what, The Marsh Keeper's Daughter, that didn't make $1 million at the box office, but I'm sure she's a nice kid. It's just the terrible pictures that they pick of this girl, because I've seen other pictures that she's taken, and well, there's something to that meme that potentially Disney just goes out of their way to make their female protagonists just look like ass, bro, because she's not ugly by any means, okay? And there's a lot of female protagonists that they just purposefully make as unappealing as possible. Like, I don't know, is it just all because of male gaze and a bunch of different feminist infiltrations in the creative positions in Hollywood? Potentially, man, but there are some choices that I just don't get. Daisy Ridley runs massive damage control for Disney. This was also a part of another interview. She claims that Star Wars fans are the claims that Star Wars fans are sexist has been blown out of proportion. It's interesting. It's interesting. She was teed up in a recent interview to just hit it out of the park and just blame all of the sexist, misogynistic fans that are out there. Kind of like she did back on the press tour of The Last Jedi. Interesting, because there were questions. There were questions about this, and well, I seem to recall this statement that she put out there, okay? And like I said, man, look at that picture right there, okay? And that's her from 2017. She's kind of a little cutie. Like, what the hell do they do, man? They just make them look absolutely ass. But okay, she's taken firm stance that a lot of those sexism claims are just completely and totally blown out of the water. But she was talking about this at the time as a critique of the character Rey for being, well, something that sounds an awful lot like Rey.
Or Jar Jar Binks.
I say the dark book.
Something for me that's very special is having female characters. And I remember that in the last film, there was all this issue with the Mary Sue thing. And
oh, yeah.
Yes.
The Mary Sue thing. Yes, yes, of course. Asked about how Rey just magically becomes, the bestest character ever. A lot of people were pointing that out, very much so, back in The Force Awakens, where, wow, how could she go ahead and beat somebody so skilled in the dark side of the Force, somebody who had been trained, you didn't know it at the time, you wouldn't know it until, The Last Jedi, trained by Luke motherfucking Skywalker, how she was able to beat him so easily, how she was able to, having never flown anything before, just fly the Millennium Falcon better than anybody had before, including Han Solo, how she became so immediately likable to everybody that she interacted with. How did her character manage to fit the mold of the classic Mary Sue writing trope so perfectly? But okay, this was her back in 2017. Obviously, things have changed, right? Okay, this was her initial take on this.
I was like, come on, like, we have seen guys doing everything, being super powerful, and now we have
the Harry Potter, but okay.
a girl.
I don't buy the Mary Sue thing anyway. I find the term sexist in itself, because it's Mary Sue. I don't think there's a thing called Ryan Craig.
That's called Gary Stu, but I don't know, maybe you learned that in more recent years. You don't have to worry about all that. You don't have to get it all right, but it's just sexist. So it's funny. She wants to go ahead and use the sexist defense back in 2017, but now the Disney and Star Wars is in a very different, nicest way to put it, situation right now. Well, all of a sudden, now you want to start to soften your position, huh? Very interesting. Don't see many people bring up that interview at all, but that's all right. Ya boy will. In making a break from the popular narrative pushed by everyone from mainstream news outlets to the franchise's actors to the House of Mouse itself, Daisy Ridley has claimed to disagree with the idea of Star Wars fandom, particularly the subsect that has rejected Disney's handling of the IP is a wretched hive of sexism and misogyny. But let's call a spade a spade. There's no way this is anything but a desperate attempt to the House of Mouse to win back some franchise fans they pushed away and insulted now that its reputation and financial pull is in the dumpster. Yeah, I'm glad somebody actually points that out, but so many people, just every one of your favorite or some of the more prominent, I don't even want to throw them under the bus because they want to go ahead and take a more charitable approach to this stuff. No, Daisy Ridley has always been like this. No. This is obviously concerted effort because you've seen this. You've seen this with the Variety sit-down with Halle Bailey and Rachel Zegler to just go ahead and take a softer approach with fans because these are people that are perpetually online. They comb all of the criticism. They are seeing what gets traction. Those same videos, that those same people that are trying to apologize for this type of behavior and go ahead and rewrite history to just try to point and say that interviews like this don't exist at all whatsoever. No. You know, Daisy Ridley has always been base. She has always been somebody that's been on the side of the fans. Disney sees those videos of people just pointing and laughing at their dumpster fire scenarios, and they're trying to figure out, can we just go ahead and, you know, change the perception of this? Like, what can we do? Oh, stop blaming fans. Well, that's a start. Can we still be mean to some of them? Yeah, some of them. But for the most part, if you're going to be painting with broad brush strokes, you're just trying to keep the damage to the minimum. I got you, boss. But the actress offered an ostensible PR spin while discussing her upcoming return to a galaxy far, far away during a January 25th appearance on NBC's The Today Show. Therein, she was sharing her excitement towards being asked to reprise her role as Rey Palpatine, by the way. Come on now. Pay respect to your forefathers. Ridley was pressed by host Dylan Dreyer for her hosts on the fact that, speaking of Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, there are some that I would say extreme Star Wars fans who have made this conversation on the internet about how they don't want a female director, which Dreyer opined seems bizarre because so many of the Mandalorian episodes, the terrible ones, Bryce Dallas Howard, making some of the worst and most awful plot armor episodes. Mandalorian Season 2, Mando first meets up with Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks and Disposable Guy, and the Mandalorian's running down the hallway after getting shot 30 plus times by stormtroopers, and then just to throw grenades. Didn't get hit by any of them, didn't face any long-term damage on that one. That was a woman. Okay, and she also directed the stupid ATST episode. What was that? Episode 4, Season 1. What was that? The entire Obi-Wan series was directed by Deborah Chow. Oh, and who is the overarching boss at Lucasfilm? Yeah, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has been overseeing all of this. Yeah, it has nothing to do with females. It has nothing to do with females in Star Wars. Shout out Star Wars Theory and Sadia Khan for pointing that out. Okay, this has nothing to do with females. It has everything to do with unqualified people taking the roles. But instead of reading out what Daisy Ridley has to say, well, I would much rather hear her talk about this with a bunch of tiny looking people. I mean, yo, how tiny are those guys? Like, I know Al Roker's like 5 foot fuck all. Yo, either Daisy has like really long, no, but her torso is also, it's kind of crazy how midgety everybody on the Today Show is. But anyways.
Conversation on the internet about how they don't want a female director, which seems bizarre because episodes of The Mandalorian were directed by females. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has been overseeing all of this. So, you know, what is your take on that?
I think my take is things get blown out of proportion, and the interactions I've ever had with people have been nothing but wonderful and supportive. And honestly, the day we announced that I was coming back at Celebration last year,
it's interesting because, okay, even if you do take a look at I
don't buy the Mary Sue thing anyway. I find
her looking down to the left. Okay, she does the exact same thing in this clip right here. Okay, that's just something that I'm noticing right there. So
interactions I've ever had with people have been nothing but wonderful and supportive. And honestly, the day we announced that I was coming back at Celebration last year, you cannot imagine the joy and goodwill in that room. So I've only ever been embraced. And
So I'm just kind of wondering, it's like, okay, maybe those are genuine emotions. Those are genuine opinions that she does hold. I'm not going to go ahead and discredit that. I have nothing to go ahead and back that up with. All I'm saying is that she's accessing those exact same memory trappings by doing those, by at least expressing those same type of ocular patterns, meaning, and she's trying to remember what she's supposed to say at this given point in time. Whether this is something that she knew she was going to get asked about and she already had a prepared statement, which is reflective of her own opinions on things. Go ahead and compare and contrast both of those interviews. Very different opinions that she has on that. Or she was told to say that stuff by an outside observer. Go ahead and take whatever opinion you want. At the end of the day, it's not going to make that Rey film any better or any more profitable, but good on Daisy Ridley, realizing that, you know, her perception to the public is going to mean a hell of a lot to the profitability, or, you know, trying to mitigate the damage that this Rey film is ultimately going to produce whenever it does end up getting released. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.